I think you are making a lot of sense. And
me side me no back on age abaso back so obesia I go day in top. Yes, the Mabona Basne, the courage to confront the friends of the Ghana Bar Association. Many people think that these are a esteemed group of lawyers. They should be the moral compass of the legal fraternity in this country. You may have your partisan alliances and biases, but in the discharge of your role as a moral compass of an entity, regulating the legal fraternity in this country, you must discharge that way, a partisan, neutral, and gender trust, public confidence. Somebody among Phobe who said this is a body to the idea Ghana for. But in recent times, the Ghana Bar Association has gained notoriety for being dangerously partisan bias. And the biases are quite obvious. And for me, nobody has been able to call them out. Yes, some of us have been sitting here and be calling them, say, such biases, sometimes are quite nauseating. You understand? You may have your political affiliation, affinity, or whatever, but don't use the institution or the agency and as a group now to be fronting your weird views about any other political party. When this whole Chief Justice thing started, we had them making some unwitty noise and some unwitty criticisms. I know they could not even ground their criticism on anything in law. It was just mere emotional fun and I know more. I know they Ghana for Basio, they couldn't even come back again. And the Basana, it means that you as an institution, you have no credibility. Because if you start a fight, now more grounds, now some hetewa, you have to prepare and come back again. They went back. Since then, it means that it is some sort of an agenda group, a pressure group of a political party, and it's not supposed to be so. Because in some year Chief Justice almost sorry, William Fise. There are people who almost suffer the wrath of Article 146 in this country. Mekaye, Shroud Boss, went through the same process. Salato said, now, Kuma, or Kwana, the end Answer MPP Baba Court, or Baba Power, or what in the court, Emma, back and forth, or by no. So President Muhammad has said, no council sanitize it, your friend, the judiciary. This is a people, what time not the court and in a chair, your friend, the commission MPP, Kuma say. Abu Ramadan and as a forum. Issues never a contentious issue. They went ahead, found reason to remove that particular woman. Ghana Bar Association never uttered a word. Oh, Kroma say, President Akufo-Addo, Abra announced an investigation of 4 judges na Ghana Bar Association, no more to China, and no more Togo. They never issued a statement, you understand? And President Mahama, yes, you have every right if something goes wrong. But there hasn't been any constitutional infraction thus far. And if you are crying foul, the question is, what is the basis? Ebasa, you may be doing it with a good of intention, but people will see you say, oh, wait a group of we are more advocating for a political party. And for me, that professional group, should not be doing that. And that is the worry. And then, Ghana for your hope I'll go and look at any news item that comes with Ghana Bar Association. Go down and read the comments. Because trust me, sir, kind of way I'm for expecting any hobium. And when a group now I'm for respecting you are dead. And that is what this particular institution is paling into insignificance if they don't know. Because all TV and I've listened to a lot of good lawyers in this country who have tend to even criticize them, say it's some kind of a saboteur group, some individuals who are fronting on their political agenda. Because say Yatna Koma Ghana a man for human rights, ya abusu, ya chi a man for ya court abdati a man for from home. Bongo ideas, I crack it out in the field, ya kofana na jo. Mami airport company in Asford. What is a Ghana Bar Association car say? Your friend say, Mrabi obiti Mrasoa. Now what Transikawa no pardonas and Yaman Hunu in our castle. Now all of a sudden you turn around that. And now William Visa Kufado, Etisano, or Moody Sans Murina, Ghana for cancer say, and Mrabi ba. That's a man for Sasa or Casa. They will remind them. And here we are. It'll be a sabi wouldn't answer and some you are because of some of these things. You even be careful how to navigate. But Anam said that biases are quite obvious, they can't even hide it. So I think we see some of these things And it's the reason why they've lost credibility. Nobody even take them serious. Even there are lawyers who are part of them, they don't even regard them anymore. You understand? And so I'm not telling them with sober reflection, they will know that they've lost their essence and that there is the need for them to also undergo that plastic surgery now, make to recapture their old glory, because now man for GD or Ghana Bar Association as but I know it is a political movement and nobody takes it serious anymore. And then on the side of the plea bargaining, you see, we cannot be sitting here and be hiding behind the constitutional phrases, jargons, and those kind of nonsense just to buy people way out. You see, idea ba Ghana for Gina so many to Obama John Mahama pa ne say hold these criminals accountable.
Exactly.
That term is non-negotiable. That is what people are looking at. People want justice because we feel say some individuals been here to me, and by the virtue of the fact of here to me, you know, we are Ghana for ball, Ghana for chrono, and we are not going to sit down for that particular thing to continue. And the only way to stop it under this John Mahama administration is to by punishing those who stole in the past. And you need to show your friends a readiness. You need to show certain combativeness, certain your friends a willingness. Be a man for who say we are really serious. Yes, plea bargain. Maybe people don't know. You see, this whole concept of plea bargain, you know, emerged somewhere in the 19th century in America, and the reason was quite just simple. America, those in the 19th century, before it became institutionalized in common law jurisdiction, you know, America started first. Now they did now, court now cases no door so to because na crime was on the industrial way no air cost no na crimes air cost be pray into no defendant and prosecutor tena say nsemi doors until the mo jitu say budi for no mo hefa now ya peja nsam then they started negotiating with the defense the guilty plea for no na say uko wi abayira are you ready to bring it me the beba na ya ma bia wani ya kodam na say be ya pressure na case load na e wo ho no ye be ye free ho na judges le benya omuwe when they started in America. One thing and very common is it undermines justice. Because the whole essence of this criminal justice system is to make sure we get justice. Because we offend you, we need to make sure we balance the stage. We affected, we feel comfortable. Say yes, I'm right, but the first sad undermining justice. So the argument in the course then it got adopted into common law, your friends jurisdiction. And common law, so you have to spread the baby, and the woman. But the core criticism now has never changed. It undermines justice, Yet, Kroma 2022 when they amend the law, and Crofono lead the amended law, no. I had the very people more chance who say, hey, mind they say the real do a level beer, your coffee, ya, and Liamabacobone. And let us change the laws. Now I'm for plea bargaining, no message. Nasi Korean, Quatrafio, and Crofone be who can. All that you do is yes, and no crime fire, many will be negotiated. So you see, that particular way now, Attorney General has become so much fixated on it, or the Trump card or the Nam Town, was a political card and could not play the at all. So you are just going by their playbook. If you are smart, I don't know whether you get the argument.
I get it.
Because he's the one defending most of these criminals today. And he's the one who led that particular thing because he was the Attorney General and Parliament as a rubber stamp entity, they had it slotted into our law. Yes, it will be good for good reasons, but not when the stakes are high. Highly contentious political issues the general public are looking for nothing because Ghana want blood. They want to see blood oozing because people have committed atrocities, both economic and political atrocities against this country, and they want to see people bleeding. So you cannot be playing plea bargaining and be using legal jargon. And the history, where it came from, and the major criticism I travel history with, and that criticism has never. The question is, so if it is about case loader, do we have issue with case load? And I say a case loader, they been a year to mitigate it. My culture say across the regions, court will be so why can't we even decentralize this court system? Na se nipa na omowia no ye di obi asem watamale ye di obi de otachima ye di obi de osunya at the same time. And say any resources let us resource the entity just to ensure that the judiciary will have the capacity to be able to do some of these things. Because you see, we are not in a rigid, your friend saying, criminal justice system. Yes, you are operating a criminal justice system in isolation.
Yeah.
We are doing politics and it is governance. So you see, when you stick to law and you forget about the fact that you are governing, you forget about the fact that you are leading people who have genuine sentiment. That's who play by the strict rules of law. Whenever now what disconnected with the people.
Yeah.
Whenever now the governance and the political aspect of it, what lose favor with the people and you go down. You understand?
Yeah.
So some of these things, are meant for other private way or money they can argue. But when you are in part of a government and you are leading your friends at the judiciary, you cannot be playing this plea bargaining card. You need to make sure say satisfy what the people want. Or Ghana for instance, and you see some of the mistakes a lot of mistakes. But NDC taking over power. When they started, no case, submission of no case, most of the I told you that this thing will come back to bite you. The very moment they started cutting people, you drench your credibility. So you know that it will not survive our ruling. And let us travel and let it die naturally. And people will not point fingers at you because you cannot be. Your friends are taking your people out of prosecution cases in the
and expect to be the
case. You see, some of this is common sense. If only you are willing. When that thing started, I said, "This we are shooting yourself in the foot." Say and I said, your friends saying, "Why I to force and I say, yeah, court." Now, seven or what I say, who say, Nima. Because of say yes, ordinary, that's what you're supposed to do.
Exactly. Allow me to go through.
Because a normal judicial system, yes, it is good to make that decision, but governance is part of it. Because at the same stage, we be a nipa show. And it's a case make sure that you speed up the process and let the court pronounce judgment on it and set the people free. You don't cancel cases and expect to say amount for will agree with you when you go after these people. You understand? So I think that these are the mistakes. I know that they are buying at the early stages. And no, you appear a bit compromised. Amount for who will call left and now will call right. Because amount for because I was starting to for freedom. Behind then I'll over the prosecuting and then you may even have the will, but people don't even trust you anymore. Especially when you flip in this plea bargaining thing. So I think that the plea bargain, it's not what the people of this country want. They want their money to be recouped, especially where Nipana we are your friend saying phone away. Wako Yusua say Fabra na say obi negotiate na sika no 16%. Even where the person is willing to pay extra, na me call Bank of Ghana na me could be $10,000 and $100,000. Na me di kodidwa.
Now the Koye investment.
Now 10 years after, now 10% extra. You are motivating people to engage in criminality. And all that you have to do is to find good lawyers and me a delay court case in your court. Now with your business. I know that you make money and be able to pay and pay back. I am not sure that this plea bargaining thing is deterrent enough. We need to walk away from it. It is not for the AG to be negotiating for criminals on their behalf or whatever. We need to be very brutal and very ruthless, especially in America and other places. We see democracy, or more called to a pointer. They've been able to attain economic independence. So in America, we are not still, the economy will not come down. We are starting from the ground. Try to build the economy. There should be zero incentive or motivation for people to engage in criminal economic crime. We need to make it a very high risk entity people will not like to go into. And the plea bargaining is not something to start with. I think existing criminal justice system and make room for say so this thing is not a novelty. The existing criminal justice system now the government opportunity to take the money and at the same time jail the person. You understand? So I think what the government will need now is the willingness to go after these people, because Ghana for our watch Makatro, so President Mahama top bass Ghana Nebia. Now or the $100,000 to be account to now 4 years so not just criminals are still masquerading walking on the street of this country. The government will suffer badly, I'm telling you.
All right, my your last topic, and to us, Omar Mohammed will say I found it so fantastic. Keep the fire burn. Mohammed will say, what is